So without saying, of course, we have an amazing line of great people today on the show. And usually, typically, I'm going to tell you about the greatest membership that you can fall into right now or purchase at American's Beauty Show. But before I even going to go there and tell you about all our great sponsors, I want to introduce to you my two amazing friends are on the show today that I am so thrilled, because we are going to be speaking about what you can install in your business today that you might have never even thought possible or didn't know much about it. But today we're going to talk about hair restoration and trichology. And I would love to invite my very good friend, Karen Gordon, who is the president of American's Beauty Show and the Cosmetology Association of Chicago. And she's an expert in trichology. And Shann Moll, who is an expert in hair restoration. And she is from Austin, and she's been in our industry for, I think, over 30 years of experience in mastering the hairstylist, but actually you convert it or pivot it to hair restoration. So I can't wait to just mingle in this conversation.
Yeah.
Hi, girls.
Hi, you guys. It's good to see everybody.
Hey, everybody. Shann, I haven't seen you in so long. It's great to see you.
I know. It's good to see you.
I see you. And you know, I got these out when I saw you two backstage.
Okay, everybody. Glasses on.
Glasses on.
I felt like I was the only person who wasn't in exciting glasses, so I went in the other room and got them. But they're actually my readers, so I can't wear them through the whole show. Otherwise, I'll do like this. But,
well, I want to propose a toast for everybody here. Okay. I just admire the two of you, how you guys are always leading, and you're such a thought leaders in our industry. And, you know, I do. I just think you guys are wonderful, and especially being in the industry that needs so much more understanding, and you leading in that industry. So cheers.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
I said, you know, you get really strong women and strong redheads tonight. 3 different shades of red. I know you're not as red as you typically are.
No, I let my gray grow out. I am.
Yeah, but it looks really great on you. But
so
you know, the two of you, because you're so dynamic. You're so dynamic. Sean, I was trying to think where I met you. Did we meet we met at a hair show at a Trico training program? Is that where we met for the manufacturer?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I actually wanted to tell the story. So
okay, Shanna, where did you guys meet?
I was working with a client in Austin with Trichology.
Oh, I remember.
You remember this? And the client comes to me and says she's moving and that she found what I was selling much less expensive, and it's this, and this. And I said to myself, that's not right. Okay, but so I call. It happened to be Karen's salon. So I call on a Monday and I introduced myself and we start talking. We hit it off immediately. And we just talked, you know, I found out the information and what the other client was talking about, and none of it worked. None of it had anything to do with anything but bringing Karen and I together. And I will tell you, after that conversation, what was it, 3 weeks till you flew to Austin to hang out?
I did. Yeah. You were so generous. You know, you're absolutely right. I was racking my brain thinking, where did we meet? And you did send me a client who was moving to Chicago. She called and she asked me my prices for the services. And she told me that my prices were so much less than yours. But I wasn't doing the same thing that you were doing. We were doing two completely different things. And then you called me up. I tell you, I remember I answered the phone and you asked me a couple questions and I knew immediately it was you. I know exactly who was on the phone. And you were aggressive and I loved it. And we hit it off and you invited me down. You have such a full and an open heart. And I had never been to Austin, and I believe you were doing an event for the product companies. You did a lovely event. I'm gonna tell you, when Shauna puts her mind to something, she does it beautifully. And where was it? It called Red Rock? Is that where it was? Red Rock?
The event?
The venue was in a beautiful.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Yeah, it was beautiful. I don't remember the name of it, but the thing.
Well, you know, really... I just spent 2 weeks in Austin, and the first thing I did, like I arrived on I think I arrived on Sunday, and Monday I went to visit Shanna's studio, and her whole place is gorgeous. And the very first thing you walk in, and there's that TV that's showing the clip of the party, and there's Karen on the TV.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the most tasteful, beautiful event with such great people there, and your heart was so open to bringing me in. And you know, those are my friends in the regular beauty side are like that as well. And I feel like I've got a whole new Tricho family thanks to that too. But you're a force to be reckoned with. And
well, you know, Karen, here's
grown and grown and grown.
Here's the point I want to make about, you know, there's this side of the industry and this side of the industry, and I really want them to become the industry. But what's amazing in the hair replacement, trichology, hair restoration, alternative hair world is you got to have a little bit of a different heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as hairdressers, you got to have heart and soul. And in this side of the industry, it's a little different. So I find that people not warm or whatever, but a little different when you connect.
Okay, so I want to talk about this, and here's how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, StreamYard has a little bit of echo and a little bit of delay. So if we're going to speak, you got to give a little bit, like a couple of seconds of a pause, because we're going to cross over our words.
And you've got 3 talkers here tonight.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's my job to listen to you guys today and lead this. So I'm gonna try not to talk as much. Yeah, exactly. Very funny. Very funny. I know. Karen, you look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Look at that skin. I mean, seriously, you're 40 years old, and look at that skin.
And again, and again. Yeah.
And again, and again.
and over and over.
Okay, so here's my question.
In 24 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's my question. What is trichology?
Well, trichology is, it comes from the word trichos, which is hair in Greek, and ology is the study of. So it's this study of diseases and disorders of the hair and the scalp is what it is. So, and most Americans don't know what trichology is. When you become a trichologist and people say, what do you do? And you say, I'm a trichologist, I study trichology. They're like, huh? What? Never heard of that. But it's much more popular in England and in Europe. It's very popular even in places like Dubai, Central America, Southeast Asia. It's very popular. In the United States, it's starting to catch on. It's much more popular in the African American community because over the course of time, I think they've had so many issues with their hair. They're much more tuned into it. But it's my hope that it's coming more into the mainstream. More people will get into it, and that people will no longer say, what's a trichologist?
Okay, so understanding what trichology is, and it's surprising to me, actually maybe not so much, that Europe is so much more advanced in that industry, because as a matter of fact, in Europe you can do a lot more procedures not having to be a doctor in order to do a lot of cosmetic procedures. But when we're talking about trichology, you know, to me, when I think about it, there's a lot of science and there's a lot of opportunities to actually grow within that in that world. What are the opportunities to actually excel and continue growing?
I'll take it. I just want to say there's something you said, Rennie. One of the reasons I think that it's more popular in Europe than it is in the United States is because they really had a founding father there, and that was Philip Kingsley. And Philip Kingsley is to trichology who Vidal Sassoon is to hairdressing. So he was very, very famous. He passed away just a few years ago. But because of him, I think it was really brought to the forefront much more. And they have very strong training programs in the UK as well. So a much stronger program and much more in front of people. But, you know, I do a thing in my training, and Shanna, feel free to jump in, but I talk about the 10 opportunities in hair loss, starting with, and I won't hit all of them, but starting with consultations, and then going into in-salon treatments, then going into take-home hygiene hair care, then going into devices like laser bands and laser caps, and then going into a lot of what Shanna does, and she can talk about this, going into extensions and hair pieces and systems and prosthetics and the upkeep of it. So I really feel that there's a wheel of about 10 different avenues where you can really look to increase the revenue for your business if you're interested. I think there's a science side, which is the trichology side, and then there's a little bit more of the art side, which is the hair restoration, hair pieces, a lot more. I personally don't do those. Shanna does those, so she's trying to get me into it. And we can talk a little bit later about why not, where my passion is, but maybe you can talk about the opportunity, Shanna, that you
I'd love that, Shanna. So you're in the arts parts of it. And
Well, my studio does all of it. So
Yeah.
we do trichology all the way through to full cranial prosthetics.
And what does that mean, cranial prosthesis?
A cranial prosthetic is anything you're using on top of the head or the whole head that is bonded with your scalp, your hair, and the system. It's called long hair bonding, and it's what I specialize in and what I teach.
Now, when I walked into your beautiful, beautiful studios, it was really cool to see you in a lab, almost like a lab, where you measure. I think it was like a cast head, almost.
Yeah.
And you take measurement of a head, and you fit the whole mold. You send it out to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And you get back the finished product.
Right.
That was, to me, amazing.
It really is amazing. And the thing that when I opened my studio, and I'll tell a little bit about how that happened, because I really, my passion is taking care of my clients, but my big passion, I get something settled, that one goal, and now I got to go on to the next goal passion, is educating the hairdressers. That it really, when I got into this, I needed to be able to help anybody that walked in my door from $175 to $10,000.
Got it.
And that includes everything from a daily wear, a wig, a cranial prosthetic.
Can I just say the cranial prosthetics that she does are absolutely amazing. And one of the things I love, I know Shanna works in many different systems, but this one in particular, I love because you don't have to shave the head. And for women, it can be very humiliating. A lot of systems that are bonded, you have to shave the head. And, if you're going through something, the last thing you want is to lose more hair than you already have. And these look so incredibly natural, and they're so beautiful, and you can swim in them, you can wear them. Everything. Yeah, they're really fantastic.
It's amazing. You can actually wear them for 6 months. So typically when Okay.
So
okay.
let me get some background here.
Hey, Shanna, can you get closer, baby? Can you get closer?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So all I see is glasses.
They look great, though.
Thank you. So what I want to say is every system that we use in our studio is applied the same method no matter what system I'm using. So any system we have can be bonded over hair. Like you said, there's no shaving, but we work with many systems, and all of the systems that we bond, it's 24/7. You come in every 4 to 6 weeks. You have 2 systems. We rotate. When one is taken off and it's in the studio, it goes through about a 12-step process of sterilization and conditioning. And I love to tell people, we have the most wonderful director of beautification and sanitation. Her name's Miriam. And I say that because what she does, she cleans all the systems, which is one of the most important steps in the process. And so whenever I'm doing something or introducing, I always say her, because every time somebody writes a review about the team, Miriam's not in there, so I need to start introducing her to everybody. So she's
an MVP that
yes
about.
Yeah. And so what happens is she cleans it. It goes through sterilization. Some of our systems have to go through an ultrasonic bath, like doctors use for their utensils, because they are antibacterial and antifungal. We bond about 100 clients right now.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is.
So would you say that the demand has gotten bigger, larger than ever? I mean, because in the old days, people were very, You know, they didn't want to talk about it.
Right. Right.
They didn't want to just anybody to recognize that they're actually wearing a piece.
Right.
They were very shy about it. And as a matter of fact, I think stylists are always very shy about talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not taking it to a very serious business. Karen, do you think that trichology is something that is easier to get into and then move into?
You know,
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting question, because you don't have to do both. But I think if you're interested in doing hair replacement, you should know something about trichology.
Yes.
You should know about what the underlying causes of, what are the underlying causes of the hair loss? What is your client going through? Is she having something temporary where it might grow back? Does she go through chemotherapy? Is she just having, you know, like chronic shedding, like a chronic telogen effluvium or something like that? Or is it something that maybe you work and it's not coming back, and you've tried and this doesn't happen? You know, I've always said, you know, it's interesting because Shann and I've had this conversation. I think everybody, regardless of which side, should learn something about trichology. And then I think you should pick your lane or decide you want to be in both lanes. And it's okay if you just want to be a trichologist. And Shann knows I struggled with this because I looked at doing prosthetics. I know how, and the hair pieces, I know how lucrative it can be. I'm not in love with it for me. It's not where I see my future. I had the opportunity to have a license in Chicago for a specific system, and I hemmed and hawed for quite a while. Then it went to somebody else, and I was, you know, boo-hooing that I didn't get it. I waited a year, and then I had the opportunity to get it. And I was with you, and I said, please let me take it on. I promise I'll be the best. And I sat down, I said, you know what? That's not me. It's not in my heart. It's not the type of work I want to do. So my recommendation, like Shann, I love to teach. I love teaching hairdressers about the opportunities that are out there. But I think you do need to know something about trichology that look perfectly natural, enhancing their lives, restoring their self-confidence. Or do I want to do both and blend them together? For me, I know where my lane is. I want to do trichology.
I really, and I want to, I hope there are people listening that would want to get involved. I've talked to Karen about this. We need to get a trichology line into hairdressers' hands. These hairdressers, you guys, are the first line of defense. And nothing is taught about it in school. I teach at the Aveda school here a couple of times a year. Hairdressers have got to be educated about hair loss. And I'm trying and goal-minded and things going on where I want to come up. There needs to be a trichology line in the United States, and hairdressers need to learn about it. You know, when I started learning everything, I'm a hairdresser with a lot of learning disabilities, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to learn all of this. But you can be a trichologist, learn from a trichologist, but you can be a hairdresser that performs trichology.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, it's really important that people who aren't fully certified trichologists don't call themselves trichologists. They can call themselves a hair loss specialist or a hair loss expert. But becoming a certified trichologist is a long course of
now
work.
what do you need to do in order to become a certified trichologist, Karen? And before you even answer that, I just want to let our audience know that both Shanna and Karen are both certified teachers within their expertise. So if you're interested to know a lot more, there's no one better to learn from those two girls. This is why they're here today, okay?
I'm really honored that about 2 months ago, I was named a professor for the World Trichology Society, and I now am their director for cosmetology in the United States. So I represent that branch for us here. And there is no governing body like the licensing that we have for hairdressing here in the United States. There is no governing body. In some ways, I think it might be nice if there is one. There are many different programs that you can go through. Some programs really just promote more their product line. There are a few World Trichology Societies who I'm with, and there are others as well. But they really promote some pretty hardcore education on on hair and scalp health disorders and diseases. It takes about a year, and most of the learning can be done online. And then you have to go you have to conduct some clinical time. So I went to Staten Island and did 5 days of clinical work. But every hairdresser might not want to do that, and you can become a specialist in your salon. And most of the programs have an associate degree, where you don't become a fully certified trichologist, but you learn plenty, and you learn enough to service your clients in a salon environment and to take it to the next level.
And I think that's, I think my thought process with that is, salons are looking to add things now, and new product and new service. And the trichology is really easy to add into a salon, a trichology service. I am not aware of, I'm only aware of like one really good trichology line. I'd like to know if there were more that I feel that are as good as what I use, but I want to create something and have it in the United States. Like, we need it here now, and these hairdressers need to learn it now. And the thing is I never thought I would be able to learn all this medical, about the scalp and diseases and cranial problems. I never in a million years. But
so Shanna, I don't mean to cut you in the middle, so I'm sorry about that. But I just wanted to ask you guys some few questions that were asked before. Is as a stylist, as a hair colorist, right? There's two ways to get into this. I think that these days you have more people who are new talent, new cosmetologists, and immediately want to go into that into this field. Mm-hmm. And then there is the hairstylist that has been doing hair for quite some time. They're not really into it. They really get inspired by trichology or hair restoration, but they have a really hard time transforming and develop into a full-time trichology. So in your both opinions, what's logistic, what's realistic, and what are the best practices to move from this to that?
Mm-hmm. You want to go, Karen?
Sure. I'll go. Thanks, Shanna. I think both of us have a very similar story that we've transitioned. I still stand behind the chair as a colorist 5 days a week, but I notice more and more my clientele is growing with hair loss clients. The transition is sort of interesting. I think when you start in trichology, every client that you see is like a corrective color. So it's kind of frightening because you have no idea what's going to walk through the door. And men are pretty easy. The majority of men have what we call androgenetic alopecia. About 95% of men have that. So it's pretty straightforward. But you get women, and women are complicated. Men are for the most part simple, but women have, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and they're on antidepressants, and they just had a baby, or they're menopausal, and, they're caring for, elderly parents. They've got stress, and their husband and their kids and all that. So women are complicated. And when you start, it's kind of frightening because you feel like everyone who walks in is a corrective color with black box dye on their head. So I always recommend, once you get your feet wet, once you get your education behind you, start working with your family first, and work with your friends, and do them as a comp. Get comfortable with the trichoscope, get comfortable with the language, get comfortable with the consultation process, and then maybe move on to a couple of your favorite clients who you're very, very comfortable with, and maybe pre-screen them and find out what is, you probably know because they're your client, but maybe there's something that you didn't know, and pre-screen them. And that way you have a little time, maybe the night before they come in, to do a little extra research through your educational materials. So when they come in the next day, you've got the lingo, you've got a little self-confidence, you know a little bit more than maybe you would have known otherwise. And then you can move into clients and seeing clients or patients, whatever you prefer to call them. That's how I recommend people transition. And maybe not do it full time, but start with your clientele. And then if you're working in a salon environment and you're the only person who's doing this, believe me, everybody else is going to send you, all your coworkers are going to send you their clients, and they are going to want to, your team members are going to want a consultation as well. And that's the best thing you can do, is do a consultation for them. So it's not a mystery what you're doing. I do it in a private room, and they need to know what it looks like, what it feels like. And they also need to see success with it, so they can go and recommend it to their clients, and their clients will come to you.
Well, it's interesting. I have a really crazy story how I kind of ended up where I am. first of all, I say this all the time, it was by the hand of God, because it was August 2016 that I learned to do anything for an extension on top of the head. Yeah, August 2016. Got a few clients with that. I was in a solo salon in a small room. Then I had a young woman walk into my life with hair loss, and I went wig shopping with her. I was a hair extension artist. I knew nothing about wigs. I had done this one weaving on top of the head, but that was it. So we go and we pick out a gorgeous wig at the wig shop, and it's a John Renault. I didn't know, I didn't know anything about wigs. So the way I got in is, there's a woman in the building I worked in. She bought the wig for me. I went to go pay her, and in our industry, we charge each other a decent, most of the times we trade, but like this woman, I expected her to charge me like $300 or $400 over her cost because it was her education and her account. Well, she charged me almost retail, and I knew nothing about the market, the markup in alternative hair. So when I told my client, oh, I could probably do it for you half price, when I went to go pay her and she charged me almost retail, I turned around and I called John Renault and I said, how do I get educated? And when's the next class? I need to open an account.
Why is that? Talk to me about the potential margins in this industry. I think everybody needs to know the opportunity today, especially when you're worried about 50% productivity. Right. How can you increase your productivity overnight?
So the thing I want to say before we talk about profitability and all that is, you cannot get into this if it is not your heart. Don't do it for the money.
I was going to say that too.
You will fail miserably.
Okay, why? Why is that?
Because you have to be, at least I am, and this is why my business is so successful. You have to be so transparent and so clear and so honest in what you're doing.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, guys? Guys, what do you mean? You have
exactly what she means.
I don't know how not to be transparent. So there must be a different type of.
First of all, it's expensive, and what we do is expensive. And to Shanna's point, if you get in it for the money, people will smell it, and you really have to love what you do, and that is why I elected not to go into hair pieces, because I don't love it. You can't do it. The money will not come, and people will see through it. And particularly in the case of Trichology, it's come a long way in like the last 8 years, but a lot of people saw it as snake oil, and a lot of people are very, very skeptical about it. And if you don't back it up with good science, good training, a good-looking studio, and taking the time and putting your love into every client who walks in your door, they will not come back. They will not return. They can go online and they can buy keeps or hymns or Karanique or whatever they buy. They can do that. They don't need you for that. So you've got to bring it to the next level. It requires
that is so important. That is so important. I cannot agree more, Karen. More.
So going back to having to really be in it, let me see. October 2016 is the first time I learned to do long hair bonding. I would then move to a larger sola room. I am now carrying 15 clip-in toppers and 10 wigs, this is a great way for a hairdresser to start the way I started. I'm also going to say, though, my business has grown the way it has, and I get really emotional when I talk about it, because no business I have ever seen or been part of has grown 600% in 5 years. And that's because it's by the hand of God, and you have to have that passion, and you have to have that honesty, and you have to have that soul.
And, if you don't have the passion for the science side of it, you can start slowly. I mean, to where Shanna is. I mean, you can start by carrying halos. You can start by carrying toppers in your salon. You can start getting familiar working with a company like Jean right now. Maybe picking a special client or two, maybe the client who's going through chemotherapy or the one who's been through something traumatic, maybe even COVID and had hair shedding, and help her with that. And, you know, kind of see where your heart is. But you have to have your heart in it without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, we see when I do consultations, and I do probably, it's been crazy. I'm doing probably 30 consultations a month, if not more. And we see so many people come in who have what we call the bag o' hair. Because somebody, just like the bag of products, somebody just sold it because they needed to make a sale and they didn't listen to your story and they did. So as a hairdresser, if you, like listening to Karen and I, are looking for that something to add, you know, to kind of shift you, I never closed during COVID. And I am
business.
Right. Yeah. So what happened is we had mainstream hair and what I do and the hair replacement. And so we closed down the mainstream side, but I left the hair replacement open. I got an attorney and all the paperwork I needed, because what we do, they have to be switched. It's medical. So, you know, that's another thing to add now. You know, if you're the type of person who has that heart, you know, who cares, but who also has the spunk or the chutzpah, I don't know.
I love chutzpah.
The right word to say.
That's the right word.
If you have that drive and you have that soul and you're looking for something to add, especially like Ronit said, you know, you can add in, take Karen's class and do Trichology treatments. You know, there are people doing scatials. There's many layers to what Trichology can be. And there's many layers to what alternative hair and hair restoration can be.
You have to do it with a really, really pure heart. And you do it with people who are going, any woman in particular who's lost her hair is very traumatized by it. You know, I think men to some degree expect that they're traumatized in a different way, but they expect that they're going to lose their hair. But it's not normal for a woman to lose her hair. So when a woman loses her hair, it's extremely traumatic for her. And the big fear is, what's wrong with me? How much hair am I going to lose? And am I going to go bald? And when you get someone in front of you like that, you know, you better have that love in your heart. You know, I think we find a lot of people who go into trichology and hair replacement have had their own story with it. And or somebody who they knew had a story where they lost all of their hair. Maybe their auntie went through chemotherapy or something happened, and because of their love and their passion for this person, or who was their favorite client, they decided, I really wanted to help them, and that's why they got into trichology or hair replacement.
So I want to, if I could, Ronit, I want to go back to, because I know we really want to break this down for the hairdresser and the salon owner, right? So if you're a salon owner and you have, you know, a few team members, take a Trichology class, look at a line that you can add, take Shann Moll Studio U, long hair bonding and alternative hair. There are ways to step into this part of the untouched industry. And we need master designers, you guys. We need them. Anybody can throw hair on anybody. Any wig can walk out of a wig boutique and look like a wig.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh, but if you're a master designer, you got a whole nother set of tools to bring to this.
Okay, so there's a few people out there that you're saying you need to be a master designer. So master designer, you mean if you're a stylist and you can design you know, the beautiful look that you're creating, then you're that much more valuable. But what if you don't want to do it anymore? What if you really want to do the restoration? You really want to do trichology? You really want to have the two departments, and you want to be the master, but you really don't want to do hair anymore? Because I hear that a lot. What's the best alternative for something like that?
So I will tell you that I have built the most incredible team in the world. And if there are any salon owners out there listening and you think you're successful because it's you, look at your team. Because I got to tell you, I have the most amazing team, and it has allowed me to do 30 to 40 consultations a month, to only do the consultation, to do the design, to do the initial cut in, which I'm starting not to do that as well, because now I'm starting to teach more. So I quit doing mainstream hair altogether, except for 3 people that I couldn't get rid of, about 2 years ago. And you can totally pivot. It depends. I mean, if you're going to have somebody do your service and stuff and you're a hairdresser, you don't want to do hair, you can learn this. You can learn trichology, hire somebody, let them do the service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can pivot. You can get out of it, and you can even work within the same business that you're in. Right. I mean, whether you're a salon owner or a stylist in the salon, I think you could even propose that you know, I want to stay, I want to step away, I'm going to turn over my clients to you. You know, I'm not taking anybody, I'm not going to a suite or something like that. But in return, what I'd like to do is have a space or a studio here and service these clients, and maybe start by doing simple consultations and moving into treatments on every client. It doesn't have to be full-blown trichology. You know,
it's a whole different type of consultation. This is not color consultation. This is really, really serious consultation. It's a whole different level. Can you speak to that?
Well, I'll speak to it. So the consultation is one of the biggest parts of the education, honestly, because if that consultation doesn't set your client up for success, and that's with clarity, understanding everything, every direction, every dollar, every step of everything, then you haven't set that client up for success. You're not setting yourself up for success. The verbiage, the understanding, all of that is so important, more so than in mainstream hair.
You know, if I can do a shameless plug, Randy, you know, I teach a class called Become a Hair Loss Boss, and I designed that class specifically for hairdressers so they know how to do a consultation. And I've taken a lot of courses from different people, and they've all been wonderful, but sometimes when you take it from someone who is a medical professional, it doesn't really translate to us artistic types and how we do it in a salon setting, not necessarily, you know, in a clinic, in a medical clinic. And to Shanna's point, the consultation is the most important part. And I actually designed it. When I got into trichology, there really was no roadmap for salon owners and for hairdressers. Like, great, I went and I learned about seborrheic dermatitis. I learned about androgenetic alopecia. And I came home with all this information. It's like, oh my God, like where do I even start? Where do I go? So another shameless plug, but I created a method called the Gordon method of hair and scalp analysis that hairdressers can use. It takes every question you need to ask to get to the final conclusion as to what the challenge is that someone's having. And there are specific questions that you need to ask if you're going to do it the right way. You can start small. You know, I noticed, not to mention company names, but I will. I noticed Paul Mitchell the other day came out with a new little thing that
I know.
And, you know, you do this, and then you recommend products, and you do a treatment at the bowl. You can start with that, and you can really grow and enhance your business by learning a little bit. You know, learning some.
We need a product line. We need
I know we do. The one thing everybody asks me in all of my classes is,
me too.
And I work with a beautiful product. I personally go to CR Lab out of Italy, and I love them. But I think I was on a call today with some other hair loss experts through the World Trichology Society, and they were saying really they feel that you know, the next step is for everybody to have their own line, and you kind of have to have that or work with other lines too, or at least have maybe more supplements in your line once you get to that next level, whether it's, you know, vitamin B drops under the tongue, or whether it's, you know, well, whatever it is. But basically it's nutraceuticals if you're not going into the shampoos and conditioners and treatments and all the rest of that.
Now I want to talk about consultation again. I want to bring it back to the consultation, just like every service that we do in our industry. For some reason, still, anybody who's certified trichology and anybody who's doing the consultation still does not value themselves and their worth or what they should be charging for a consultation. And there's so much go into it. From what I understand, there's blood testing, there's hair testing, there's scalp testing. There's so much go into it. But for a consultation, what is the amount of time that you book your clients for that the initial consultation? How does it work? How do you start with that? And then what you should be charging for something like that?
Well, I think you should charge what the market bears, and I think you should charge for it. You know, I'm an open book in Chicago. I charge $125 for my consultation, and I charge $195 in New York. Prior to COVID, I was working in New York City out of the Orojo salons, and very happily so. But I also had a lot of expenses with travel and all the rest. But I charge $125 right now. I'd like to go up to $150 soon. And then there are add-ons you can do, like if you become an expert in reading blood work, or if you're sending out other tests, certainly those can all be a la carte. But I try to keep I think it's reasonable. I started at $75 when I wasn't as sure-footed as I am now. But I pumped it up to $125, but I spend a full hour with everybody. And I also do a follow-up within 48 hours with everybody. I send them a recap, because I find when they walk out of my office, their heads are spinning. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of terminology. Almost probably 98% of my clients walk out with products, so they want to begin their treatment right away, and then they're always confused about the order and what day is the treatment day and what day isn't the treatment day. So I always follow up with them within 48 hours. I send them an email, so I put a good amount of time into everybody.
I charge $75 for a consultation, but I don't really, because once you move forward with whatever solution or a Tricho test, that $75 comes off. If you don't get anything, if you don't get anything or any treatment within 3 months, you won't get credit for that. You get charged the $75. And there are a lot of people in our industry who don't charge for consultations. You know, there's a new thought process. It's like there's a new Marshall in town. Mm-hmm. Hairdressers need to take over this side of the industry and step in. No longer, to me, and I have lots of friends who do this, and I'm talking about what works for me and what my vision is. Everybody does things differently. No more do I want to be in the old school, you know, you get 5 pieces a year and you get this much service. Oh. There's a plan and a contract. No, this is a beautiful spa and you're coming to get your hair done. And this is what it costs when you get your hair done, whether it's at 4 weeks or 5 weeks. Yeah. Whether you need to have 2 of those systems or 3 of those, it is individual, just like when you go into a salon.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So what does that look like, Karen, for Trichology? As far as the treatment,
mine is very bespoke as well. You know, when you come into my environment, it's a very beautiful, very calming, very relaxing. I want it to be a beautiful experience for everybody. One thing I did want to say, unlike Shanna, I can't apply that towards. I love what you do. I can't apply it towards hair systems and other. Right. But what I do is I allow everybody to come back at that price for a complimentary follow-up, and it's only a 15-minute appointment. And I retest hydration levels, sebum, and I work with the trichoscope and take new pictures. It's very quick, but it's a nice follow-up for them. And I always say, so long as you're on the treatment plan, you can come back and see me. I can handle a 15-minute appointment and give that away, because they almost always purchase when they come back. So I'm happy to do it. But you know, you know, we're not Hair Club for Men, and I mean, no. That's when I say that. But you know, I'm not getting people into contracts. And people say, do I have to do this for life? And I said, that's your decision. It's not mine. If you have androgenetic alopecia, it's for life. And you know, you make that decision. I'll work with you. You know, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. But you know, I try not to do it from a hustle on contracts. And I think people really respect that. You know, once they see results, they're happy to stay in it. But some people come in and, you know, they've already tried a lot. They've seen a lot. They don't know what a trichologist is.
Well, and here's the because, you know, talking exactly about doing trichology and being a trichologist, mm-hmm. I told Karen, there's no way in hell I could have gone through that program to become a trichologist. We do
It's a little dry. It's a little dry.
Oh, bless you.
But I just want to say, as much as you say we need a product line, what we really need is a training program for hairdressers, because you can't take an artistic type and give them all of these chapters and lie awake in bed alone reading about ATP and cell division, and all you want to do, it's like going to beauty school. All you want to do is get your scissors out and cut a mannequin, and you spend all these chapters learning about. I know it's so important, but my God, give me a scalp. Just give me a scalp to look at. And you go so long. One of my biggest complaints is it's a lonely sport when you start. There's a stronger community today than there was when I started about 8 years ago. But when I started, it was the most lonely sport.
Well, one of the things, talking about the hairdresser and getting into all of this, like we said, there's no way I could do the education you did, Karen. But like I said, I work with a line, Cesare Ragazzi CR Labs, and I love their line. And it's a very exclusive. I think there's 45 of us in the United States. So yeah, I am too. Actually, I think we're number 3 in the country. I do a lot of trichology. Yeah. And so speaking to what you said, Karen, I only learn like a hairdresser through doing, through listening, through doing. I work with a dermatologist now in Austin. He's the hair guru in Austin, Dr. Gavino. And we call ourselves From Medical to Essential Beauty. And I brought him and his team in the studio. He'd been sending me people for a year and I'd never met him. So finally I needed a dermatologist. I'm like, look, I had to get naked to meet you.
Is that what it takes?
It worked.
I hope it was hot. I hope it was hot.
So cute, but not my type.
I'm sorry.
So I said to him, look, I want to do this test for you, this trichology test, and I want to go through step by step, and I want you to listen to everything I say. And if I say something that is medically incorrect, I need you to correct me. Yeah. I got done, and he was blown away. Never seen anything like it, never heard anything like it, never, completely blown away. That's just a hairdresser learning from a good teacher, doing it over and over, and now turning it into a 7-figure business, not just trichology, but the hair replacement as well.
And I don't want to ever put down, I don't put down dermatologists, but I speak to them all the time. I get clients all the time who've been to the dermatologist. I have clients come to me and say, the dermatologist never looked at my scalp. No. Never even looked at my scalp. I spend an hour with you, and there are things that they can do that I can't do. They have a depth of knowledge that I don't have about all sorts of things. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm really, really well educated in what I do. I spend a lot of money and a lot of time. And I'll also tell you, I still have a lot to learn. I still have a huge road ahead of me. My blood.
You always do. You always do.
But to Shanna's point, she got with this gentleman. He was impressed with what she knew. You were talking earlier about how you sort of like to make us all the same tribe, but really, I find trichologists are they're the ones who are more into the science, a little more clinical. I remember I went to my first conference, and I was really surprised that the trichologists weren't the ones at the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning drinking. They were in bed because they wanted to wake up in good shape for the class the next day. Wow. And when I'm with my hairdressing friends, we're at the bar at 2 o'clock, even if we have a class to teach the next day.
That is crazy. Hey, girls, there's a couple of questions that the audience, and by the way, the engagement is really amazing. A lot of people are very interested. So if I wanted to start in this industry, whether it's trichology or anything, what's the best way to start, and what companies would be a good lineup, and how do you fit into it as educators? Like, how can we utilize your expertise?
You want to go first, Karen, or?
Sure. You can go to my website, KarenGordonHair.com, KarenGordon, and I teach classes. I teach a class called Become a Hair Loss Boss. And it's a 4-hour class that is action-packed with information, enough to get you up and going. And you're not going to be a trichologist or a dermatologist, but you will have a much better conversation with your client, and you will know where to go with your client who might be suffering from hair loss or scalp issues. I do an intro class too, that's sort of like if you want to get your feet wet and see what it's all about. It's an hour and a half, and we talk about that wheel of profitability and other options that are out there. And I have a new class I'm teaching. If anybody's interested already into trichology, I have a class coming up in 2 weeks called Scope It Out, and nobody else is doing a class like that. I'm teaching scoping, what to look for once you get a trichoscope. It's one thing to get a scope and look at somebody's scalp, but if you don't know what you're looking for or how to analyze what you saw, then it's really kind of worthless. So I would recommend getting started in one of those, or go to World Trichology Society and take if you want more time and you want to invest more money, then go there and take their associate's class. It's a great class. It's a little dry. I've told them it's a little bit dry, but it's very good. It's very comprehensive.
So Studio U Education is what part of Shann Moll Studios. And what we do is we teach the hairdresser from behind their chair how to literally add men's and women's hair replacement, daily wear, wigs, really step by step. And our program is hands-on, one-on-one via Zoom. We teach all over the world now. And we actually send you everything, human hair. I mean, like Ronit, you coach and teach the business and all of that. We do what you do with the hair replacement, how to add it into your business. And really, I mean, we have some students who with quite a few, who have taken our education, and it has changed their lives like that, financially and rewarding.
I should take your class, even though I personally don't want to do it, just so I can make the proper recommendations to people. I agree. Your class, because even though that's not what I want to do, I still can recommend toppers and other things, but I need to recommend what they can do that maybe I don't do, or get another one of my team members involved in that. I think it's so useful.
Yeah.
Well, our Salon Cadence members, our Salon Cadence group, our company is definitely going to have Shanna come and speak, and I know Karen, you're going to speak. But I think maybe American's Beauty Show, we should have a special room, and we're going to have you guys on the stage and on the panel. It's time to show the world what's the world of trichology and fine hair.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say something to
Chicago. That's very involved in hair loss. They're very interested in it. Our new CEO has a background in that, working with a wig alternative hair manufacturer, and I know that we have a strong interest at home about that here. So I think you'll see more of it at the trade shows.
I hope so.
That's going to. I think it's happening already. But I do want to speak to everybody out there. When you make a phone call, when you don't feel so great and you have a little sore throat, and you make a phone call to your general practitionist and you need to get in, you usually get in. But when you call and you pick up the phone and you want to get into your dermatologist, there's never going to be an appointment right away. You're going to have to wait 3 to 6 months. And I just want to bring something to you. Maybe some of you out there in the audience might not be so sure whether they're going to like trichology, or they're going to, maybe it turns them off, something about hair restoration and prosthesis and diagnosis. I want to tell you, I never really, as a hairdresser, as a teacher, as a trader, really thought that I'm going to be in love with hair, that I'm going to be in love with training, that I'm going to be in love with being married, that I'm going to be in love with talking. But until I actually got to do it and see some successes and wins, and also the fact that I help people, that's what turns me on. So I think everybody needs to try to become a specialist, to become an expert, where it's very difficult to get an appointment with you months in advance.
Can you say, you don't have to be what Shanna is, and you don't have to be what I am.
No.
Any hairdresser today who can't talk to their client intelligently about hair loss really isn't servicing their client to their best ability. And that's part of what brought me into it. Is, I was sitting there wondering, I had a lot of clients who were asking me about hair loss. They say, do you notice my ponytail is getting thinner, or my part is widening, or they mentioned that they were seeing a lot of hair on their pillow or their shoulders or in the shower. And I really didn't have a good answer. And I've been in the game for a long time. I love my clients. And I would say stupid things like, oh, you got plenty of hair on your head.
Right.
Oh, no, I'll let you know your ponytail is getting thinner. Am I really, these people who have supported me for all of these years, am I really doing them a great service? Am I really giving them the best advice? I'm not. And I was also at a stage where I'm no longer 25 or 32 and getting all the young clients in the salon, even though I own the salon. And I thought, how do I keep myself alive and grow a clientele, and remain interested also in what's going on. Some of the hair color trends aren't really for me at this age, this stage. It's fine. And what can I do that I'm still interested in that would be very stimulating for my brain? And that's why I went to a conference cold in Washington, D.C., flew out there. I knew nothing, absolutely nothing, and fell in love with it. I loved the people who are in it, are so committed and so passionate. But even if you don't want to go to that level, if your client is online looking up hair loss, what do we do? And they're getting bombarded with commercials on CNN for Capillus and for laser bands and for Viviscal is on CNN and Airplane magazines when they find it is everywhere today. If you are not getting a piece of that market, my friend, you are giving it away.
And half of my clientele is under 40.
Wow.
The other thing I want to talk to the hairdresser, I don't know how much time we have, but if you are compassionate and you have a private space where you can do somebody's hair privately, this is nothing about hair restoration. I have a huge clientele of trichotillomania clients. And that is when somebody pulls their hair. It's a body repetitive motion, and they pull their hair, and you may see you have some clients who have holes of hair pulled or whatever. You need education on that. And here's the other thing. If you educate yourself on it and you join the National TLC Society, they will look for you as a hairdresser to come see you because you're compassionate about it.
Right.
My very first client, when my very first paid client suffered from trichotillomania. So I've got a really soft spot in my heart. When I taught my first class for the World Trichology Society online with them, they asked me what topic I wanted to speak on, and I spoke on trichotillomania because it's so devastating for the people who have it. I want to say something to your point, Shann, though, because when I got into this, people said to me, I remember a friend of mine said, do you really want to be working on old people? And I said, you know what? I don't plan on working on old people. If I have some old people, I'm perfectly fine with that. Most of my clients are 40 and under. And today, you're not looking at grandma with thinning hair. You're looking at someone who's looking at preventative hair loss. That's what we're looking at today.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, a client will say to me in every consultation, well, my mother didn't start to thin until she was 60 or 70 and I'm 30. Well, look at the environment we live in compared to the environment that your parents grew up in. That's why half of our clientele is under 40 because of our stress, our medications, our life. I mean, all of it.
In my class that I teach in my PowerPoint presentation, my favorite slide is little Prince George from England, and then it's Prince Harry, Prince William, and then Prince Charles, and then Prince Philip, I think it is. And you see Prince Philip, who's like great grandpa, and he's got the bald spot. And then you see Charles, he's got the bald spot. And then you see Harry and William, who's so young, lost hair. And then here's this beautiful little angelic face of Prince George. And I think, what do you think his hair future is? And for somebody like that, when you know it's that deep in your family, as soon as he's of age where it would be considered responsible to give him some form of treatment, he could get on it and probably get the hair that Prince William did it. And I just think, boy, when you see that, it's preventative today. It's if you knew your family suffered from gingivitis and you saw your gums starting to go back, my God, get to a dentist. If you're get to a gynecologist.
Well, the beautiful thing about everything that there's so many amazing solutions. I saw some beautiful hair. The work that you guys do is amazing, and how much it affect you as a stylist. Amy Rowland, who is on the call, she says, "I am a salon owner behind the chair, one day a week, looking to do something that fulfills my soul a little more." She's got a full salon with stylists that would love to help. They're so sick of always have to send their clients to the doctors who actually do nothing.
Exactly.
So how do we start, she says? How can I start? What should I do?
The best way to start, I mean, it sounds terrible, but the best way to start is to take Karen's class, take my class, and be coached by you. There's the trifecta.
Not that John and I are here to promote ourselves, but we're hairdressers doing it. Go take all the classes you want. We're hairdressers who have succeeded in it and can tell you how a hairdresser can do it.
Exactly. That's one thing I want to say to, I have found.
Wait, Chef. Who wouldn't want to take a class with the two of you? I mean, seriously.
I want to take Jonna's class.
I mean, listen, there's two people. There's somebody who really value money and somebody that value time over money.
Mhm.
For a long time, I always thought I need to make more money per hour. I need to have more clients, more clients, more clients. But I've changed my philosophy in a very early stage when I said, I'd rather pay good amount of money for education so I can save years
Yeah.
of screwing it up and not having the time and the money that I want.
Yeah.
So education is where it's at, and I can't say enough about YouTube. Okay, so everybody here, you want to learn, not only, yeah, you can go and get certification, you can
Right.
go and learn, but if you really want to learn the art of hair restoration, hair loss, and trichology, yeah, right here.
I think we can help you convert your business too, because we both have done it. I mean,
Yeah.
I do more hair loss clients than I do hair color clients today. That's definitely where my future is. I'm really interested. In fact, I know that's where my entire future will be one day. So, Shanna, she's integrated the two, but she moved away from behind the chair.
Yeah.
And then I remember watching you grow. And after I met you and went to your event, and you were a house of fire, girl. I mean, I was so proud of you and what you've done. You know,
It's crazy.
Great mentor and a great teacher for other hairdressers who want to do that.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you. I do want to say one thing to the hairdresser. Do your research. See who you're getting your education from. Really look at who they are as people as well. Because in this industry, I know people in the hair replacement side who have spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands. I'm talking thousands of dollars of education. And if they had focused, done their research, found that educator for them,
yeah,
they wouldn't have spent all of that money searching. And one of the big things is
time.
What?
Time. Who has time?
It's like I'm one of those people who spent thousands upon thousands of dollars because I dove into the deep end and I spent a lot of money, no regrets, but some of it didn't really lead me to where I needed to go and give me like some information about this, some information about that.
Right.
But there was no roadmap once I got out there. I'm like, I was just adrift.
And that's why we put our program together, because I made so many expensive mistakes. And so that we were like, okay, let's make this really easy. 1, 2, 3.
Do you all know Steve Reese, my dear friend Steve Reese, former publisher of Modern Salon? Ranita, I know you must know Steve Reese.
Yes.
Yes.
I bought every single scope at every single show. I have a graveyard of scopes every time. I love scope, and then every time a scope was available, I bought the new one, and then the new one, and then the new one. And I have so many scopes that didn't work or weren't right or had attachments or I couldn't figure out the software on it. And I have a scope museum, actually. Yeah.
It's so funny.
A lot of my scopes, if anybody wants a scope.
So one last question for everybody to hear, guys. Do you also help in your classes of how to market and how to attract the right clients? So, okay.
In our program, we literally take you from the front of my door through every single step. As a matter of fact, Jenny Rosen is the director of the studio. Actually, she's my boss. She's it. My name's just on the door.
She's an angel.
Oh my God. So she was the principal of my children's school for 15 years is how I know her. So her and I together, she's the educator. She wrote the manual. So she takes my creative mind, what I need to do, what I vision, everything, and she makes it. We've made sure that somebody who has as many artistic and learning disabilities as I do can understand and be successful.
And to Shauna's point too, you know, I also teach marketing in my class, but you don't have to market very hard. The class,
No.
80 to 85 million Americans, 1 in 4 women. If you have 100 clients in your clientele, you have 25 who need your help. If you think of it that way, they're there. They don't know that there is someone who does what you will be doing. Once you put it out there in your newsletter, on your social media sites, once your team members, friends, colleagues come in contact with somebody who has a hair loss problem, they will refer you because there aren't many of us. And Rani, you said something early on about hair colorists and cutters. I always tell people it's very hard if you want to get into something today to become a world-class hair cutter or a hair colorist and become recognized at the biggest level and be a platform artist. You can be in your community, and even still in the trichology community or hair replacement community at large, there is still room for you if you want to be a superstar. If you buckle down and do work, it's not oversaturated, and a lot of fields are oversaturated. This field is still in its infancy.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree, and it's time to expand your specialty, your niche,
yes,
and live the life that you really want. You know, this is what we teach. We teach at Salon Cadence is how to reverse engineer the way you want to live. And
you know, Renita,
yeah.
I want to talk to something that you said last week, if I can. Not last week, a couple of weeks ago. You posed a question. What does financial success look like to you in 2021? It was on, I guess, your page.
Yes.
And I really stopped and thought about that, because I was like, okay, I've been doing this. I have my 5-year goal. Things are fantastic. What does it mean to me? I don't need anything else. I don't need a handbag. I don't need, right? So I was thinking, what does that mean to me? Well, I am an Airstreamer, as you are.
Yeah.
And financial success looks like to me living by the moon and the sun. I go on the road. I do online consultations. That's the only scheduling I have ever when I'm on the road. The rest of my time is just living.
Absolutely.
So Shanna, would that be freedom?
Yeah.
Freedom to choose how you live your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can do that with these
You're not a
things.
slave to your business. You know, it's not a kind term, but my husband used to say, I think all salon owners are beholden to the bitch of success. He used to say, which is the bitch of success. And we are so beholden to it. But I think, like you know, I want to have autonomy through it. I want to be able to make my own decisions with my own schedule, my own life, and know that that I'm completely autonomous and self-sustaining through it. I'm closer to it every single day, and very happy about it. And at certain ages too, to work smarter, not harder.
Right.
I mean, I think we all work incredibly hard, but you know, there comes a point where I don't mind continually working hard, so long as the rewards are there, or be able to pull back and say, but it's enough. Like you, I don't need another handbag. I don't need another pair of pants. I have everything and more. And more.
Love it. It's so true. So I guess what we all gonna agree here, that we can create the life that we want. We can create the company to work for us, and whatever that why is, whatever that financial freedom means to you, that's the why behind we do what we do. So I guess that's it for everybody. I do want to have
one last thing you have to say. So long as it nurtures your soul, you know, you can do something to make money. If it doesn't nurture your heart, nurture your soul, and make you feel good, helping others and what you do, then it's all for naught.
Oh, absolutely, because you can, you know, if you can do anything, you can go to school and become a financial investor if that's what turns you on. Yeah, you know, but yes, you have to love what you do. I totally agree, Karen. All right, guys, let's have a really fun selfie.
How do we do that?
Oh yeah, I don't want to. Wait, I don't want to.
Just look at me. Hello.
Hello.
That's it.
Okay, now for me, I want to. Hold on. And it's my 3 girls. Ready? 1,
Yeah,
2,
somebody
3.
send it to me.
All right. I love you both. You know that. You're my sisters. I love you. The sisters I never.
Love you guys. Well, listen, everybody. Have a great night. And by the way, American's Beauty Show tickets are on sale right now. So get your ticket, get your membership, because you're going to see us live on American's Beauty Show.
We're having a great time.
Okay, well, this is the first time I'm coming.
Woo!
So be my guest. See you guys. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye.